Welcome back, everybody. What? As you can tell with no coat, it went from freezing cold to like, wow, these are pretty decent temperatures, you know? It's like, well, that's New Hampshire, and I expect it to be freezing cold next week. Or snow, you never know. But other than that, what are we doing today? And as the title said, you know, we're doing the fenders, and there's a reason why. Right now I'm at an impasse on everything I need to do with the motor. The next logical step with the motor is to get the intake for the turbocharger to route it into the cabin underneath the cowling there, so it'll be free and clear of any water splashes. It won't ingest water. That's the reason why I did it that way. The reason why I did it in the Sport Quattro. There's a reason for this stuff, and what it is, I need to fit the fenders because they're so ill-fitting right it is. This is kind of be like, you know, if you saw the Sport Quattro fitting of the fenders, it's going to be pretty much the exact same thing. But if you didn't watch that, I'll still go through it all. We'll fit everything the way it's supposed to be. And that way we know exactly how much real estate we have in here, because seeing how this inner fender well is, there's a lot of rod in it. So I can cut it, push it out to the fender and give me a ton of room for a 180 degree turn. And I'll show you what I'm going to use for that here in just a bit. But let's first get on to cutting the fenders. And I'm going to do exactly like I did the Sport Quattro. Cut the sills, bring in some material, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to use to make new sills so I can adjust everything up. So without any further ado, let me pull the fenders off. Here's the fender, and here's the plate that we cut to have the fender attached to the car. You're probably wondering why I scribed the top and why I bent it over. I bent it over because I don't want it digging into the fiberglass, like a guillotine effect. And also, I did the scribing over because I wanted to pretty much conform as best as I can to the internal portion of the fender. It's really not going to. It's going to give us the best shot, because the inside of the fender is all wavy because of the resin and matting. There's no mold on the inside, so it's like this. So what I got to do, and actually, you know, when I put it in there, it actually fits really nice. I can't believe it. You know, it's right on. It's really close, and that way you use less material. But what I got to do now is I have to drill a couple of holes. We can so I can put some screws in here to set this plate exactly where I want it, and then we can set the height of the hood. or set the height of the fender to the hood, and then we can slice this right here, bend it over, and make that as the, and well, we'll have to weld it too, but bend it over, and that'll be our L angle to hold the fender in. And we can set the width of how far it is from the hood at that point. So let me go get my drill. I'll drill some holes and put some screws in here, and then we'll continue on. What we're trying to do here is match up this line, and get the arc from the cowling so it doesn't sit above it and it looks like it's okay. Here's a definition of the line, here's the definition of this line. I think we got it. We have this line right here, which it kind of fades off, but if you look at where this is, it does look okay. We go right here. This is not sitting above, and it basically follows the arc all the way down. Let's go to the front. Here we are at the front. If you can, here, let me raise the hood up a little bit. If you take a look at where the hood line goes, this is flat on the hood line, even though the hood's, pretty bent. It matches up pretty well. Now, if I raise this thing up, right there, see if you can see it. Right there, it's matching. So I have, it's where I relatively put the hood pin anyway. What I have to do now is trim the fender and that metal, bend it flat so I can slide it in and try and make it exactly as what I need to do. So let me go mark that, let me cut that, and I can put everything, hopefully on this side, we will get it to the point where we can match up the lines, then we'll start with the door. It's all lined up pretty well. We have a, how can I put it? It's close here, it goes a little bit wide, and it goes even all the way. So the fender actually is bowed in a little bit like that. Now what we're going to do next is I want to go fit the other fender, and then we're going to be cutting the inside of these on both sides in order to get the bend or the flex we need to actually bring the fender up, push it in, and match the door line. That way, it'll all be, it'll all look good. Then we can go to the front and figure out how much real estate we can actually get by bringing that inner fender well out to meet the actual quarter or front fender right here. So let me go mock up the other side, and I'll be doing the same exact thing. Well, it's a little tight here, but it actually looks like it curves in, then curves out, goes straight, then curves back in. Okay, well, we pretty much have that set. And this is where we want it to put on the actual A-pillar. It kind of closes up the gap when I go up like this, closes it up really tight over here, but if I pull it out a little bit, because it's still flexible, it works it into the right side. All right, now I got to pull the fenders off. I have to grind this inner line right here. Not looking forward to that. And I'll do them both, and then we'll set it up so we have one more bolt on the bottom. We'll pull it up and push it in. That way it'll conform to the doors because the doors are set. So let me pull these things off, and I will mark it and hog out that center so we can push this thing in. I hogged out back here in order to get a washer and a nut on there to bring it back out because I need to get a little bit more room with the hood. Now, the reason why I did the relief, watch this. When you bring it up and bring it in, it's pretty much almost exact, but it's exact pretty much right here. This thing is much, much nicer. It's very, very close right here. Still a little bit tight with the hood, but this thing goes this way, this thing goes that way. As you can see, it's almost like a triangle. But the big thing is, I got this portion right here pretty much set. This thing goes in and goes down a little bit, so I'm trying to make it equal right here. Now I got to go down there, put a bolt in the bottom to make sure everything is lined up. And if I can bring it out like that. See, I'm trying to figure out exactly where it is because you have to remember this is not quite equal, but It's, you know, it is what it is, but it's much, much better now that it pretty much conforms. Let me put a bolt in the bottom. That way we can get this thing, this thing actually looks pretty nice right here. Let me go down a little bit, but I mean, it's really close. I think it's pretty neat. So let me put a bolt into the chassis on the bottom part of the fender. I'm going to have to hog it out a little bit so we can actually put that in, and then we will fit up the rest of the hood. Got a shim inside here. What it is, I lined it up towards this crease right there, that line, and I lined it up to this line right here. This looks pretty even, this looks pretty even. I could probably go out just a tad down here. Over here, it goes up and kind of, you know, this is more flat, and this is a little bit curved. This goes in, this goes straight. I think I'm gonna have to make a tab on the inside to pull this in to make it equal with the A-pillar. But let's go take a look at the hood. I want to show you something there. Take a look at the gap here on the hood. It's pretty much equal all the way. Then it starts to close up all the way to here, and then it starts to, and then it goes back out, and you have a bigger, bigger gap down here. I was sitting there going, well, what's going on? So I took a look at the hood with the straight edge. Yeah, looks pretty good. It doesn't look bent or wavy. So I put it on here to here, and is probably 2 millimeters, you know, bow in, then bow back out from here. And this is even tight over here, so just be aware when you do this, when, you know, if you're trying to make a perfect gap, you're not going to do it. Just do a compromise. Let's go over and fit the other fender, then we can continue on with everything. Well, hood line looks pretty good. A little bit of indentation right here, not bad. Not even a millimeter. Let's go look at the door. Check this out. Here is a fender. We got this line right here. You have to remember, this goes and curves upward right there. There's not a crease that goes right to there. So if we actually put on a straight edge, like right there, it actually goes right to the crease. I mean, you have to remember, it's still wavy, but I mean, it's pretty good. This line right there is pretty much on this crease line right here. Not bad. Same thing down here. It's a little tight down there. I'm gonna have to, you know, you can just, you know, it's so, you know, easily to pull this thing out because there's really nothing there holding it on. This, I'm gonna have to build up. Take a look at this right here. You see these chips? This means they did not use the tools to push the fiberglass matting into the edge of the mold. What this is just pure resin. Resin is not the strength in a fiberglass panel. What the strength is the fiberglass fiber. Now, and that's the reason why they vacuum bag. You could tell this thing wasn't vacuum bagged, but that's why they vacuum bag fiberglass parts, is to get every ounce of resin out or any excess resin out, and that makes it lighter and stronger. There you go. So, well, when I build this up, I'm just going to build it up to match the fender right here. You know, I'll use some angel hair or something like that. But let's go on to the front and start working on that so we can get this thing done. All right, I'm going all civil on you now. Change of plans. All right, there's something I figured out, or something I discovered that, you know, I completely forgot with the Sport. Same thing happened with the Sport Quattro, but I completely forgot about it. That's what happens when you're a fucking lunatic. What it is that I'm going to have to fit the bumper first before I final fit all this into the fender. All right, well, all right, now, seeing how we have to do that, let's try and make this fit the reversing airflow of that. What are these? These are intakes from a Power Stroke, 6 liter, if I remember correctly. The part number is 184 6624 C1 with a number 11 underneath. And what it is the reason why I'm using these is because I had them in the bin. I didn't have to buy anything. Yeah, what else do you expect, you know? All right, well, what I got to do is I got to sit there, I got to cut this section off right here, because I got to bend this over and fit this here, cut it, and then we got a reverse section. If I can do it without cutting this, okay, that's good. I still have to get rid of the mounting for the old CIS airbox, and I'll show you where the rust section is anyway. But the reason why I'm doing this, and the reason why I have to fit the bumper before I have these fit to the fenders, let me show you over on the other side. You know, it's just by accident that I saw this, but you know what? You're gonna have to do this. You got realize what's gonna happen when you start fitting the fenders. So let's go over to the other side. Let me show you what I found out. This is what I discovered. Do you remember when we first fit this fender? It's all nice right here. Maybe a little bit in like that would be nice. But this is all really good. But down here was really, really tight. Well, I'm sitting there going, and I'm, kind of like thinking about, okay, the bumper has to come up, all this, blah, blah, blah. All right. Well, the reason why we have to have the bumper fitted is because, watch this. When I support the front by bringing in, the place where it would go for the bumper. If you go like this, really light, tons of gap all the way up, so the door opens up nice and easy. All right, so what does that mean? I have to fit the bumper to make it look good and get this gap on both fenders correct. And I want everything locked in on the front plates, just like I did in the Sport Quattro, because that bumper fits really nice, straight, it's really good. But I also have to figure out all the mounting system, which I have an idea. Hopefully it'll work, but we'll see. And we have to do the front lights and all this other stuff in that bumper to make it work. And it has to be fitted to the front and be pulled up and all this other stuff to make this fit and the bumper fit. If I'm going to do that, okay, that's going to be a lot longer. Let's go right on. Let's just do the intake. It's going to be relatively fast because it's exactly what we did on the Sport, pretty much. And let me just do that. I'll end the episode, then I'll start. As soon as I end that, I'm going to throw it upstairs, and then I'm going to start filming, getting the front and the bumper and all that stuff in. So that'll hopefully be fast. But all right, let's go over there, get the intake done, and just get it all squared away. And I think it'll work out. It's amazing how little things crop up to make it. But remember, what I'm doing here is going to save you a lot of time, because you're sitting there going, oh, okay, all right, we got it good. That's how we adjust it. All right, let's go over there, and I'm going to cut up those elbows, and let's see if we can work something out. Now we got to measure for the hose to put on there. Looks like inch and an eighth actually. And here would be, let's see, pretty much probably 7/8. So 2-inch. We need a 2-inch coupler, which we have this straight Gates 3-inch hose. Was it 76 millimeters? Just have to put 2 inches on it, and there we go. Well, here's where it is. It's there. I wanted it up high as because the wastegate's going to sit down low over here. Now, yeah, like that. What I want to do next, let me go grab the pipe. I'm going to show you what we're going to attempt to make this thing with. All right, here's the pipe that I'm going to use. What is it? I got it from the scrap bin. I believe it's from my old rally car, the Audi Quattro that I put the 3D in. Now, what does this do for us? Well, I mean, it's the same diameter pipe as this, 3-inch, or maybe a little under, but it's probably metric. What it is I got a 45 and a 90. I can cut things up. I can make it all work. What I need to do is I have to cut this 90 off first thing, and then I got to see about getting the pipe to conform as well as I can using that elbow. I'll probably cut that in half, run one, then run it down into the bottom portion right there where we did the other one for the Sport Quattro. All right, let me get my other grinder and let me cut that off, and let's see if we can start making this work. Looks like the pipe is in. You know, I put the mount here. Pretty rugged. We do have some leeway because of the two couplers, two rubber hose, 3-inch couplers right there. So it does, if it moves around, there's plenty of give to it. We're going to have a coupler right here. This is just to stabilize it. I might even put a spring here. Don't know. But what's our next thing that we have to do? Well, we have to get the air into the cabin, but it can't be. The whole thing is, I don't think any organization would allow you to run if you have an air intake into the cabin just because of fire. You know what? I don't think so. I don't know, but I mean, I would not think so, or anybody would, would allow that, especially in a rally or anything like that. So what I want to do is I'm going to build a box from here into here to put the air filter. You're probably thinking, what air filter are you going to use? Well, I want to get, be able to buy parts. All right, now the thing is, let me just show you what I got. This right here is the lower filter assembly of this car right here, the Coupe GT. They used them on all the 4000s, Coupe GTs, 5+5s, used them on all of them. So actually the filters are pretty common. Also, and the Audi Quattros, but the Audi Quattros used an aluminum one of these. What it is that the top portion is the CIS system, which I'm just going to go get one off of the motors that are out there, cut it up, put a screen in it, and then you can have the filter just pop right on, no problem, use a stock filter. I'm just going to use the top 2 inches of this. You can see there's a ridge there, there's a ridge right here. I just take the die grinder and cut it right down, get rid of this whole lower section. Then I got to build a box inside here to accept into a pipe right there. Now, I also took this going, all right, I put it right there, that's where our filter is going to be. And right here is the stop of the air conditioning condenser hole that where we plugged up. So we're good on the depth there. Over here, it comes about 1 centimeter away from the roll cage that's coming in. I think that's, I think it's going to work. but I'm not for sure 100%, but let's first cut that up, then we can template it, cut that out, and then see how we can build a box to make everything fit really nice into it. That means this is all finished up, end the episode, so I can start working on the bumpers and all that stuff and try and fit the front end, because we still have to fit the headlamp over here, and it's going to be really, really tight. It might work, might not. I might have to modify this intake, I don't know. But we have to get that done first before, this is the least amount of time right now to do that than to do this. So let me get this done, finish up the episode, and then I can start working on the bumper and filming that. So I can get the rest of the stuff done. All right, let me get my stuff on and start cutting that up. That's pretty much the intake, and it'll be going into this side of the airbox. This pipe has to be welded to this airbox prior to it going in, because once I weld it to that, I can get the, I can put the thing back in and then weld the pipe here to the chassis and seal that all up. That way it's, you know, it's almost actually a stiffening member when I complete the box around. The problem is right now is this. This pipe is left over from cutting all this up. I don't have any pipe. I mean, let me rephrase that. I didn't have much more of this pipe, and I started to look around to find out I need to extend this pipe in order to fit there. And I said, all right, what do I got? Well, what's interesting is the Eurovan seat, which makes me happy I'm going to use it, actually is the same diameter and wall thickness as this pipe. I'm sitting there going, no, awesome, you know. So I'm gonna lop off a section of this, take the brackets off, and so I can put it on there, cut it, and weld it to that, and then get it all welded, all sealed up. And that also, I also have to trim this to get this thing far enough down, because I have to make sure I have enough room to put the wiring harness from the ECU through this grommet hole. All right, first things first. Let me take the brackets off of this, and I am going to put it back on this pipe, shove it through, then figure out where to cut it. That way we can get it so it's actually pretty much straight up and down. Then I can start trimming this side right here in order to maybe, to access the hole for the ECU, and then I can start figuring out the sides because the back is already built. I just have to trim it to the exact same thing as this. That's it. So everything is dependent on this section right here. So let me first pull the brackets off, clean that up a little bit, stick it through, and then we can measure out what we need to cut off of that to form fit it to this. You know what? A lot of thought. Just a lot of thought. All right, let me cut this up. Before I weld it to the plate, I'm trying to fit this as straight as possible. The hole is, I made it larger than it should be because it'll just give me leeway because you don't really know when you put it in. You don't want it cockeyed or whatever like that. So it's now looking at it from this vantage point, this is completely straight. What I have to do is weld it to the bottom of this. This is set up after I drew the line right like that. Then I got to cut these plates or cut these pieces right here so I can actually pull it out. That's, then I can start setting everything to that. But the big thing is getting this straight onto that, onto this. And at least I can get a couple tacks on the bottom so I can cut this stuff out. This thing will slide out. I can weld it, cut the hole, and then I got to do something I have to do something on the inside of it, and I'll show you in just a second. But let me first get the welder warmed up. I'll pop a couple of good sized tacks in that, and then we can cut the hole, and I'll show you what I need to do right after that. Well, we've got to wait till these cool down. When we cool down, I'm going to cut a hole in the end of this, and then we're going to continue building the air filter box. this all off. I basically, how can I put it? I ground up all this so the airflow will at least go in relatively nice. You know, I beveled the edges and went into the welds on the beveled edges with the grinder, and it, you know, it looks pretty nice. You know, it's, even though it's recycled shit, you try and do as best you can with what you got. So if I'm going to make a nice smooth airflow, I mean, we're only supporting between 200 to 300 horsepower, 250 probably, you know, at the end game, but we'll see what happens with that. Next thing is I just want to build the sides to the box. I'm going to bring the box over here, build the sides at least down to here, and then we can move on to putting this back in. I'm leaning towards not welding it fully in, just tacking it, because I might be doing something a little bit different. I do not know, but I'm pretty happy with the way this turned out. I just took the grinder, just ground off the excess, that, you know, that's where the mount was. You know, might as well, you know, you're here, you might as well do it. And I just ground down some high stuff on the pipe. Pretty much that's about it. Let me go grab the other side of that. Let's make the plates for the side pieces. That way we can get going with it and, you know, putting it back in and finishing up this episode so we can get under the bumper. All right, now we have the air box pretty much installed. What are we going to do for the drainage tube? The drainage tubes right here is where the AC condenser hole is. Right over here, below it, is where the intake tube for the air box is. All right, or for the turbocharger. What are we going to use? We're going to use this hole right here. This is the original drain for the AC condenser for the 4000, I believe. I thought it was. Now, what do we have? We had a grommet inside there. So I went and looked for a one-way valve, and the only one-way valve I found was this. This is definitely an Audi part, but if you put it right here, it's just way too loose. I mean, it goes in, but you'd have to silicone it in. The funny thing is, if you sit there, and this is the grommet that was in that, if you push this through like that, that way the original grommet will go back in and we'll clamp that down. Now, what am I going to use for a pipe? I went over to the scrap pile, of course, found this. Do you know what it's from? Absolutely no, no idea, but it fits in. What it is, I'll do it like that, and I'll make a slice so it goes up inside there. And when I have the bottom welded on, I'm going to have this, I'll slide it over, you know, I'll slice it, I'll slide it over after it's in and tack it, then pull it back out and weld it well, and weld it to the bottom of this much better. Now, that's one thing we have to do. The second thing we have to do, or the last thing we have to do, is mount the ECU. One of the things I want, seeing how I'm going to have this, this is the ECU I'm going to use. It's from a Eurovan, and I'm going to put it right here. That way, it's easily accessible. You can unbolt it, see, right out, no problem. So, I thought that was kind of cool. So let me pull this back out, throw it back on the bench, weld this thing into it, and then I can pretty much, how can I put this? Drill a hole and figure out exactly, well, actually, it's easy to drill a hole, I'll just mark it. But, and then we'll just, you know, I'll put this all in, weld it all back up, and then call the episode. Yay! All right, let's get this done. Found a couple of hoses so I could clamp the intercooler piping on. And yep, I am not going to weld up that tube, the drainage tube for the airbox. And there's a reason why. What it is that I don't have an air filter to go in there to test exactly where it's supposed to be. And I want to put it, you know, I don't want to just, you know, willy-nilly in there just because I don't want to do something over again, so I got to order an air filter. And I don't have a top cover. I had 8 of the top covers. I have no idea where they are. They're in somewhere. But, hey, listen, what have we done? Well, we got the back portion of the fender fitted. I think that's pretty cool. We got the intake pipe to the turbocharger done. That's pretty cool. You know, found some hoses. I mean, I still got to weld on a little nub right here to make the intercooler very stationary so it doesn't go into the alternator or blow off and go forward. So I have to do that, which is not a problem. You know, the elbow right here, I did not weld this completely. Why? Is because when I have the bumper on, then I can start fitting the lights. If the light is going to go right here, but you need the bezels there to make sure the distance looks correct with the bezel on or the light surround on. So that's a big thing, and there's no sense in welding it then recutting and welding. That's just a waste of material. Other than that. Thank you very much for showing up. I mean, next one will be the bumper. I gotta do the bumper because that means I gotta set these bottoms to here so we can guarantee the bottoms of the doors. Yeah, other than that, you know, it's coming along. I like it. It's pretty neat, you know. Remember, none of this is hard, you know. It's really pretty much self-explanatory. You need the air. Where does it go? Here. Okay. So yeah, and this is, you know, I am nothing special. I am just a hillbilly out here in New Hampshire mucking about with these couple $100 cars. So, and thank you very much for showing up. I really appreciate it. Remember, you can do this. Get on it. Just do it, you know. Thank you very much for showing up. We'll see you now. Bye.